Dan warned Ed briefly, placing his body high on the cliff-ledge to protect it from scavengers. There were no long rituals. Grief was compressed, because life demanded it. Brown held longer than the others, leaving a flint knife on his brother's chest. When he finally rose, his face was ash-colored, but his voice steady. He hunts the skies now. Then they turned to the serpent. Killing such a beast was rare celebrated, yet grim. The meat could feed the clan for days. The hide could be used for armor, the bones for tools, the fangs for spear points. Survival transformed even monsters into resources. Gar approached Ru. You listened, he said. You lived. Clan lives. You are hunter now. Mena nodded. Raoul clapped Ru on the back. Ru stood before the fallen serpent. The river's scale stretching between the trees dot above. The skies darkened. Rain fell cold and steady, washing blood from the leaves. Cooling the earth. Yu lifted his face to the sky. Tomorrow, they would hunt again, because that was life before time. A world caught by hunger, ruled by fear, bound together by those who dared to face the darkness and survive.
The serpent lunged like a striking bolt. Its massive head crashed into the ground where the hunters had stood. Splintering branches, sending the soil exploding like a burst of ash. Ru rolled behind the fallen trunk. The serpent's body wound through the trees, bending trunks like reeds. The creature coiled, ready to strike again. Gar hauled his spear, scraped the scale and embedded into a tree. The serpent shrieked, rattling Ru's ribs. He had come out through stones to distract it. Mena darted between trees, vanishing and reappearing like a shadow. Then the serpent's tail whipped around and smashed into it. J.E.K. Dot, the hunter, was thrown through the air, striking the trunk with a sickening thud that he did not rise. Yet, Raoul screamed Dot. Something inside Ru snapped into focus. Fire became sharp, like a blade. He noticed the serpent's armor-like scales, only two soft spots, the eyes and the underside of the jaw. Gar caught Ru's gaze, pointed at the serpent, then to his own chin. Ru nodded. The hunters moved in a desperate rhythm. Gar to the left, Raoul to the right, Mena behind, forcing the serpent's attention to shift constantly. Ru crouched low, inching forward, suddenly holding a natural pull leads toward the serpent's mouth. Struck. It dove beneath, fetting its jaw snapped shut above him. The creature's breath reeked of rot and blood. Now Dot he drove the spear upward with all his strength. The flint tip pierced the soft flesh beneath the jaw. A white, cracking sound erupted, hot blood rained away. The serpent thrashed violently, throwing Ru aside. Gar charged with an obsidian blade. Raoul and Mena joined, stabbing at the exposed wound. The serpent convulsed, smashing trees, shaking the forest like a living earthquake. Blood poured around its coils. Ru staggered up, dizzy. Bruised ears running Dot at last. The serpent collapsed. The forest fell silent. The giant snake that terrored the valley was dead.
The forest canopy was so dense that sunlight could only slip through in fragmented beams, creating wandering pillars of light among the trees. The air was humid and warm, almost suffocating. Thick vines hung like serpents themselves, twisted and knotted as though grown from the remnants of ancient battles. Giant ferns brushed their legs, their broad fronds left behind trails of cold dew. Mena was the tracker, and she knelt vacantly to lead the forest floor. She examined hoofprints, broken stems, faint drags in the mud, subtle signs that only years of hunger and survival could teach a person to notice. The things passed here at dawn. She said quietly, 3, maybe 4. Once more, good meat. Gar grunted in approval. We take what we can, but watch the trees. If the birds flee too quickly, we move back. Everyone understood the meaning. Sunburn flight often meant a heavy body moving silently below or above. And in this forest, heavy body that moved silently was almost always a giant serpent. Ru's spear felt heavier than normal. Sweat dampened his palms. Every rustle, every snap of a twig, every vertical made his muscles tense. The hunters moved deeper as they tracked the deer-like creatures. Slender herbivores with two backward curving horns and striped hides. The forest grew quiet, too quiet. Insects stopped buzzing. The birds stopped calling. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Ru felt something he later called cautious again. Gets hand shot, updash hold on all 5 fails instinctively when I crouched and pressed her palm to the ground. Legs narrowed. The earth shifts. She whispered, somewhere ahead, something about was moving, not stabbing, sliding. Rules gets adored. His fingers tightened around the spear shaft, yet round exchange glances, their jaws set. A soft sound built through the silence, slow, dragging hiss, like scales whispering against. They stopped, the hunters backed away, but they were already two. They thought the ground in front of them exploded upward. Massive shape erupted from the foliage scales, glistening black and green, each one larger than a human hand. Serpent's head rose higher and higher. Its neck thick as a tree trunk, its eyes like molten amber, sleek pupilled and unblinking. The creature towered above them, easily reaching twice God's height. Rue had heard stories, but nothing prepared them for the reality. The snake opened its jaws, revealing fangs curved like obsidian hooks. A guttural rumble vibrated the air felt more than heard. Split, God roared. The hunters scattered. The sun had not yet risen above the jagged horizon when the Khan stirred from their shallow caves. A pale, bluish mist hugged the ground, weaving through ferns taller than men, and drifting between the massive trunks of ancient trees. The forest around them was older than memory, vast as the world itself, filled with creatures whose footsteps shook the soil, and whose cries pierced the night like sharpened bone. Life here was not lifted, was continually taken back, bargained for, or snatched away in a blink. Every dawn was a victory, every breath a negotiation with death. Rue, the Khan's youngest hunter, opened his eyes to the cold air brushing against his face. His hair, wild and tangled like dried leaves, stuck to his cheeks as he sat upright. The cave roof above him was low enough that he had to hunch, shot back and marks from old fires streaked the stone like ghostly fingers reaching toward daylight. Around him lay the others still sleeping, cold like animals seeking warmth. Only the embers in the fire pit glowed, pulsing like a dying heart. But Ayayu listened. The forest always spoke before it acted. Nearby, he could make out the droning rumble of insects, the uneven clatter of dripping water, and the distant groans of some lumbering beast moving through the undergrowth. Beyond all that, beneath the earth almost, was a vibration that only trained hunters noticed something large, sliding rather than walking. But it was faint, too faint to trouble the climb yet. He stepped outside into the bite of pre-dawn chill. The sky was a heavy grey sheet, crimson rain nature. A faint orange thread traced the edge of the horizon, as though the world itself were about to crack open. The land smelled of wet soil, crushed moss, and distant smoke. Somewhere far away, a flock of winged reptiles reached and took off, flapping their leathery wings with enough force to stir the branches below. Here, at the edge of the valley, life existed in perpetual tension. Water was plentiful, game was abundant, but so were predators swift, silent, and cunning. The worst of them did not roar or bear their fangs. They did not chase, they simply waited, coils hidden under foliage as thick as curtains. Their bodies, longer than trees, were tall. They were the ancient serpents, the valley's first rulers, giant snakes, whose hunger called. Fair enjoy every creature's bones. Some called them the earth takers, for when they moved, the ground itself shifted. This morning, you had been chosen to join the hunters, not merely to scout. Today was the day you would prove whether you deserved to carry a stone-tipped spear, not as a novice, but as a full member of the hunting band. It was not a ritual of words, chants, or adornments. It was simple. Return alive, return with meat, or return wounded but not dead, or never return. The Khan's old hunting day emerged behind him. Dad's face was a map of scar-thin ones, hip ones, some jagged like lightning bolts, others as straight as cuts from chipped obsidian blades. His left ear was missing entirely, replaced by a pocket scar. His beard, tangled and streaked with ash gray, seemed to sway even when the wind did not blow. God, no need to speak for the hunters to know it was time. His presence alone was a command. He approached Rue and tapped the younger man's chest with 2 fingers. He had the ground God said, speaking in the Khan's rough, gravel-like dialect. The earth warms those who listen, those who don't, fade wounds. By the time the hunters gathered God, Lumina, and the older brother Yek the sun had begun to bleed gold into the clouds. The moon shined into the jungle,